This is round 5 of the Bridgestone 4x4 Fundi Challenge, held at the Geratech testing facility west of Pretoria. After getting all scenic in the previous round in Mpumalanga for the annual regularity raid, the Fundi now returns to its roots, or rather its poles and golf balls and traffic cones no less. Before we head to the rough and tough obstacles at Geratech, a quick summary of where the Fundi Challenge is at. Limpopo hosted round 1, which was won by Robert and Lehane Hale in an Isuzu Trooper. Round 2, hosted by the Leeuwenkloof farm near Hartbeespoort Dam, was cancelled after several out-of-control veld fires threatened the safety of the Fundi teams. The Fundi Challenge then headed to the Free State and an intimidating quarry near Stainsrus. This tough event was won by the tiny Suzuki Jimny of Flippin' Awesome, and the small 4x4 led the challenge overall as the teams headed to Mpumalanga and the annual regularity raid. The raid was won by Lichtenbergian-speaking Wimpy Olivier and his brother Rearder. However, as the teams now line up for Geratech and the penultimate round of the challenge, it is John and Desiree Fuller in a Mercedes Gelandewagen that lead the point race. They are followed closely by Adrian Oukamp and Gerrit van Wyk in a Range Rover Classic. And in third position is former champion Johan Marx and his wife Corné in another Gelandewagen. At the sharp end of the field, it's very close, and anything can happen. Will Geratech prove to be a good hunting ground for the top teams, or will it put a serious dent in their title aspirations? Let's move right along to the hairy stuff. This is the first test, and competitors can choose between 2 starting points. Either way, it's steep, narrow, and rather tricky. Our first customers for the day are Vaughan Ashford and Lisa Williams in Vaughan's long Nissan Hardbody. After debating the options and after deflating the tyres some more, Vaughan decides on the side slope entry point. And with the left rear wheel heading for orbit, the Nissan bangs and scrapes its way down, and it severely distresses every single pole on this test. Oh, and he dislodges about 18 golf balls. Marius and Magdel Duplessis in a Toyota Fortuner V6 line up next. And Marius has also decided to go for the side entry. Theoretically, this should suit the short-ish Fortuner. Down goes the nose, and... whew, that seemed a bit too close for comfort. Marius gets through, but 2 balls were whacked. Driving a wide Land Rover Discovery, Marius Dreyer and Craig Rocha decide to take more of a straight option here. But will their one-pole strategy work? Ah, no. The Disco takes out a second pole, so that's only 50 points in the bank. Also taking the straight stripe option are Graham Yupp and Bruce Haynes in a shorty Mercedes Gelandewagen. He does well. But that Merc is leaning. Phew, back she goes. After a promising start, the G-Wagon still takes out 1 ball. DNA Harbour and Kurt Gerber are in a Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. DNA decides to tackle the side slope. The long Jeep lifts wheels left, right, and almost center, and takes out more golf balls than Tiger Woods. This is it. The formidable Obstacle 2. It's very steep, very rocky, with a slippery surface. There's also a couple of tight turns, as well as a tricky ledge that the 4x4s have to conquer. There's also a catch. The teams that don't make it up this obstacle don't have a shot at Obstacle 3, which is a little bit easier. So if you don't get up this hill, 200 points are lost. Graham Yupp and Bruce Haynes' Merc G-Wagon has all those differential locks, so in theory it should be quite alright here. And it looks like it's clear. Or wait, the mighty Merc just didn't have enough momentum to clear that tricky rock ledge near the end. With considerably more right foot, the Gelanderwagen powers its way out of the obstacle. But if a G has a tough time here, well... Here is the discovery of Marius Dreyer and Craig Rocher again, and Marius attacks this obstacle with some gusto. But crikey! The same ledge stops the Landy in its tracks. Marius gets the disco going again and powers his way over that hump of rock. The Landy has just about killed every pole along the way, but at least it's made it to the top. This is Kobus Brummer and Rudy Grobler in a Mahindra Thar. This Thar is fitted with a load of accessories, including a rear differential lock. So what's the plan, Kobus?
Momentum.
Okay, so we think he's going with momentum for this one. So let's see how that pans out. Well, that doesn't look very momentum-ish to me. And true's Bob, the Thar grinds to a halt. Kobus reverses the Mahindra to get a better angle of attack. And... but the Thar ain't digging this. Kobus and Rudy have to admit defeat and lose out on a total of 200 points. Ouch. This is Martin Eddy and Rian Harumsa tackling the tough Obstacle 2. They also seem to have a carefully worked out strategy, and that is to put foot. The Nissan hops and bounces and spins and makes it up. That was really well done. So Martin, that looked like you were in an off-road race.
No, I was doubting it a bit, but it was fun.
Another team that isn't easily petrified of the put-foot method is the father and son duo of Stefan and Tristan Wintershoven in a Jeep Wrangler. And so Stefan goes for broke and makes it up. However, the rally approach saw just about every golf ball on this obstacle die a fast and horrible death. This is Marcel Ferry and Martin Viljoen driving a Mercedes Gelanderwagen. They also employ an unusual amount of momentum and make it up, but they also take out several poles and golf balls along the way. Here are defending champs Marco and Joe Marinkovic in another Gelanderwagen. Let's see how they tackle this challenge. That seems to be the perfect pace. And yes, that's the first 100-pointer for this obstacle. How did that go down, Marco?
That was adrenaline.
This thing was bad.
Adrenaline.
This is Stuart Sterling and Paul Hoogstad's VW Synchro Bus. If anyone understands anything about momentum, it's Stuart and Paul. Frankly, we reckon that they're mad attempting this climb. Miraculously though, it hops and jumps and wheelies through the obstacle. That's amazing! Just a pity about the 723 white poles that you killed in the process.
Scored 0 points but made it up, which gives us a chance to score on Obstacle 3.
Compared to Obstacle 2, number 3 is like a minibus taxi skipping a red traffic light. Easy peasy. A short descent between the narrow gates, but nothing majorly challenging. Sean van Rooyen and Ter Blanche Breitenbach are our first customers here. They drive a Land Rover Defender 90. And they make it through without hitting anything. Oh yes, this seems to be much easier than Obstacle 2. With lots more action on the menu, let's skip right along to Obstacle 4. Okay, what's this? The Wintershoven Jeep towing Stuart Sterling's big brave bus? What happened, Stuart?
With that big axle twister, I lifted a wheel, and with the lockers on the side shafts, actually, as soon as the wheel lands, it jams down, and the shock loading snapped 2 of my front side shafts off and broke a rear seam.
Right, so this is Obstacle 4. A difficult S-bend affair with narrow gates, ruts, and a very tricky exit. Brothers Corey and Francois Boss are first up in their single-cab Toyota Hilux. The Hilux aims true. But no, the Toyota takes out a pole, or two. According to the marshals, only 3 out of the 22 teams have completed this obstacle with full marks so far. The Mercedes Geländewagen of Marcel Ferry and Martin Viljoen is next. Will the Merc score 100 points here? And no, it takes out 2 poles, so that's 50 points lost. This is Marius van Vieren and Esme Minnaar in a near-standard Suzuki Jimny. Yes, the narrow Suzuki becomes only the 4th team to score full marks here, and Marius is happy.
Ideal track today for the Suzukis.
Obstacle 5 is short and narrow, but the trick here is a very tight left turn in the obstacle. This is Dierwald Jacobs and Hendrik Pelser in a Toyota Hilux Extra Cab. Hendrik almost takes a tumble while he gives Dierwald direction, but it is in vain. The Hilux takes out the inside pole in that tight left turn, so that's only 75 points in the bank. Vian Smith and Kobus van der Merwe are also in a Toyota Hilux. Let's see if they fare better than their extra cab colleagues. No. They take out the same pole and lose 25 points. And rounding off a Toyota threesome is the Fortuner of Johan and Mareka Reichel. The Fortuner is slightly shorter than the Hilux, so let's hold thumbs. And the Reichels are through. It was by the width of a menorah blade that they missed that pole, but they bag 100 points. This is an obstacle with a difference. Crews have to tow a Toyota Hilux through a set course, through soft sand. After each gate, the handbrake in the Hilux is pulled up 1 notch, so the further the teams go, the more difficult it gets. First up is the powerful Jeep Wrangler of Stefan and Tristan Wintershoeven. After hooking up the double Hilux, Stefan puts on his rally face, and let's rip. Stefan decides to hook up a lower gear, but that causes the Jeep to bog down. He reverses slightly and tries again. Nope, that Hilux ain't going anywhere. In the passenger seat, young Tristan isn't exactly jumping for joy, so that's 0 points for the Jeep Rally team. Next in line are Idmar Marx and Kobus Viljoen in a Mercedes Geländewagen. The diesel Mercedes is certainly not the most powerful 4x4 in this competition, so the situation looks a bit bleak. However, after scoring 100 points on all the obstacles up to here, Idmar and Kobus are sure to give it their best. Oh dear, they didn't get very far at all. Oh well, sometimes life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. I think Muhammad Ali said that. Ach, shame. This is the Mercedes of Henry Dippenaar and George Schoenrath, and it's powered by the same diesel engine that is fitted to Idmar's green Geländewagen. Oh well, at least they're giving it a go. At least they get further than the green Jeep. And what? They complete the obstacle! Great balls of Geländewagen! It was at this point that young Idmar, who had been watching his compatriots, realized that he'd forgotten to select low range before tackling this obstacle. Oh dear. At this point, it's important to note that the white poles went on strike after suffering much trauma, so they were replaced with brave traffic cones. This obstacle is based on cement, with a tough climb just before the exit. Here is Martin, Rian, and the Nissan off-road racing bakkie yet again. Martin ambles down into the dip, and then gives the hard body stick. and with a wheelie, it all gets through, and also mortally injures 2 poor cones. What? We thought the synchro was broken. Well, it was, but Stuart has replaced all the broken parts, and amazingly, he and Paul Hoogstad are ready to rumble again. And as is tradition, Stuart also pops a wheelie.
I don't know how many cones I hit, but I'm sure plenty. 2! 2's not bad. I'm impressed with 2. It's really good going.
Obstacle 8 is also based on cement lined with cones. Here the teams have to negotiate a dip and a steep climb through them narrow gates. Amazingly, even a VW Synchro bus can get through here, as Stuart and Paul demonstrate. This is Anton and Connie Kutsia in a Gelandewagen. For this obstacle, Connie is providing directions, and Anton follows the directions.
Stop! Reverse!
Well, sort of. Oh dear, the Merc has touched 2 cones, so that's 50 points lost. This is Johan Swift and Dieter Skarp in a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Traction isn't an issue for the Jeep, but Johan and Dieter are worried about another matter. They also work out a cunning form of communication. Finally, the Jeep starts. And amazingly, it kills only 1 cone dead here. Johan and Dieter have made their way to Obstacle 9, and here the co-driver has to suspend a bucket of water out of the window while the 4x4 drives over a rocky section, spill water and lose points. Thankfully, Johan has a brilliant plan.
Maar asof dit wat daar binne is whisky. Dis al.
This is the rest of the Skarp clan, Werner and Armand. They're in a tricked-up Jeep Grand Cherokee, so the 4x4 obstacle is not an issue here. Instead, it's up to Armand in the passenger seat to look after the the water. And yep, he does a grand job of it. Okay, so after Obstacle 2, this is rather easy, so let's move on. Here the teams can choose between 2 steep gradients. There's an easy one for 100 points, and a much more intimidating one for 150 points. Virtually all the teams opt for the 150 pointer. This is Chart Skierpers and Danny Daniels in a Mazda Drifter. Preferring the faster is better method, they go for the 150 point climb. And make it stick. Yakunel and Monty Montgomery Suzuki Grand Vitara is equipped with an automatic gearbox, which should make the 150 point climb a dawdle. And yes, it does. Marius van Veeren prefers to keep the revs of the 1.3 litre Suzuki Jimny in the red line district. And it works handsomely, so that's another 150 point result in the bag. After this tough round, Bridgestone offer the Fundi teams a respite in the form of a bonus obstacle. Here the teams can make up some of the points lost earlier in the day. Still, it wasn't that easy. This track looks suitable for an elephant tank and not a road-going 4x4. Marius van Vieren and Esmee Minnaar's little Suzuki skirts those big holes. Steven Grieve and Jaco de Jager's Suzuki Grand Vitara leaves a few marks and lifts a few wheels on its way to full marks. And John and Desiree Fuller's Shorty Galanderwagen hardly breaks a sweat. Our last customers are Stefan Squirmby and Riku Wessels in a Mitsubishi Triton. At the regularity raid in Mpumalanga, this team got hung up on one particular obstacle for more than 30 minutes. Let's see if they do better here. And yes, they do. Yeah, they did. And that, as they say in the classics, is that. And here are the winners. In third position, bagging a 3,000 Rand cash prize from Tough Stuff, was Galanderwagen crew Johan Marks and his wife Corné. Sean van Rooyen and Terblanche Breitenbach finished in second position in their Land Rover Defender and bagged a set of spotlights from Opposite Lock worth 4,500 Rand. And winning this tough event by a truly massive margin was the virtually standard Suzuki Jimny of Marius van Vieren and Esmee Minnaar. The Suzuki couple also won a Bushtec tent and gazebo combo from Canvas and Tent worth 10,000 Rand. Importantly, the top 30 crews who will compete in the final were also announced. Leading the points race going into the final were Adrian Oukamp and Gerrit van Wyk in the Range Rover Classic, followed by a horde of Galanderwagens and a couple of Jimneys. Watch next week to find out if the Rangy can keep ahead of the chasing pack as the 2012 Bridgestone Fundi Challenge draws to a dramatic and hairy close.